Hey, it's Dave. Welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to just answer a few questions and whatnot of people that have been commenting, and it's kind of hard for me to get back to them one at a time just because a lot of times I'll be at a gig and I'll see like I have a message, and so I wanted to address them. Somebody had mentioned Terry Kath as a guitar player, and I'll be doing a whole thing about Terry Kath. I think he's awesome. He's definitely one of the best, most underrated guitar players. And there's a lot of great stories about him, how Hendrix really thought he was fantastic. And he so sadly took his own life by mistake. I believe it was at Don Johnson's house in Malibu. And there's this great documentary coming out about Terry Kath that I can't wait to see. I'm sure it's going to be super interesting. And like I said, he's a great guitar player. If you listen to any of the I don't want to say the early Chicago because it's all the way up to like 77, I believe, that he played on. Might even been 78. I know he died in 78 or close there. And I think he was on everything up to that point. And he had a great voice. I mean, the songs he sang, Children Play, was that In the Park, Make Me Smile, Color My World. Um, he sang and played bass on Wishing You Were Here, that Peter Cetera wrote. But overall, I'm a huge Terry Kath fan. I think he's great. Somebody else commented about me doing the Helpless video by Sugar. I will do If I Can't Change Your Mind, which is another great song. I'll do that in an acoustic corner. And let's say I'll shoot for Sunday. If I can't get it by Sunday, it'll definitely be within the week. I'll do that as a video because that's a great song. Somebody made a comment about the Warmouth guitar that I built and said I should have put my name on it. You know, the issue I have with that is that, I bought it from all Warmouth parts, and what I really wanted was a Dan Smith Strat, which is basically a Strat with a big Fender logo on a small headstock. That's kind of what I wanted, but it doesn't really exist on the International series, so I wanted to put that together. Now, if Warmouth was like, hey, we can make your own headstock design so you could put your own name on it, then I would. But I don't know if you know anything about trademarks. So the reason why you can't copy Fender's headstock and put your own name on it and sell it to the mass public is because it's called a trade dress. So Fender owns the logo for the name Fender. Because it's on something that has a shape, don't mind me using this as a pointer, because it has a shape, the shape around it becomes the trade dress. So you associate that shape with the logo name. Now, if it was something like a can of soda, a can has its a universal shape. There is no trade dress on a shape. But the Coca-Cola bottle has a very distinct shape, and therefore they own that shape and design because it's distinct. And that's really why you can copy the Strat body but not the headstock. If Fender back in the day of like 1954, 53 when they designed it, but 54 when it was released, well, let's even go earlier to 50 on the broadcaster and later the telly. If they had put the logo like Godin does on the body, well, then the body would become the trade dress, and anything associated with the body shape and design would take on the trademark, being the trade dress. A lot of people confuse that and say, well, the headstock is their trademark. It is not their trademark. Their logo is their trademark. The shape of the headstock is their trade dress. And so where I'm making a Fender knockoff where I want it to look like a certain Fender, to me it has their trade dress. I may as well throw the name on it. And it's not like I'm making an inferior product, and I would never sell the guitar. So on those things alone, I feel fine just putting their logo on it because I'm paying a homage to them. Not trying to pass off that it's a Fender, nor do I think Fender makes the best Fenders. I mean, I think G&L makes a better Strat. I think, there's plenty of them. There's John Suhr out in Lake Elsinore, California, makes a better Strat. So, that's the reason why I put their name on it, because I'm using their trade dress anyways. It's like, and That's why Charvels now are able to come out and put their name because it's owned by Fender. But back when Grover owned it and he made it his own company, they had to lose that headstock because at that point they weren't buying the parts from Fender or from a Fender licensed. Because back in the day, that's what those builders used to do. They would, like, you had a company like Charvel that was basically dealing with boogie bodies and Warmoth necks and putting the guitars together. This is before Grover took it over. This is back when, like when Eddie Van Halen first made his Frankenstrat. It's a Charvel neck. I mean, he bought it from Wayne Charvel, yes, but Charvel didn't make the neck. It was made probably by Warmoth or by one of the other local builders that was making it for everybody. Yes, Glenn's comment last night. Glenn, you don't need to apologize for commenting on the wrong song. I believe I said Rocket Man when I meant Rocket Ride, and you called me out on it. So I think we're even. Let's see, what else was there? Oh yeah, there was a guy commenting about pawn shops. Yeah, I think the days of pawn shops are done. Unless you find it's very hard. Now, that being said, 2 weeks ago I walked into a pawn shop and I saw a Korean Fender acoustic, and my buddy's daughter was looking for an acoustic guitar. Um, they negotiated it down with me. We got it down to like $100 out the door. Actually, it was $100 plus tax, so 106. And it needed a little work. I brought it to Jim Casey in Stoughton. We shaved down the saddle and got it really down, and then straightened the neck as straight as we could make it. And the guitar played unbelievably. It was definitely a great guitar when it was done, and definitely worth the money that you would find. That's a rarity at a pawn shop. Pawn shops are basically looking online, seeing what they're selling for. They don't care what they paid for it. And so, therefore, the modern day pawn shop is basically going out and trying to find a deal on Craigslist. And they're out there. You're not going to, not everyone out there knows the value of what they have. And then some people overvalue it, and some people, to them, they just want to get rid of it. So you can find those finds, and they're on Craigslist, and that's for sure. I found some great stuff on there. And I was able to move stuff on there. It's like I picked up a pedal that I thought was a great deal on Craigslist, and after I played it, I lent it to a friend of mine who then he didn't want it, and I was like, it's funny. This pedal gets amazing, amazing reviews, and I hated it. Anyways, I posted it for what I sold it for, what I bought it for. I posted it maybe for $10 more than what I paid for it, and the guy offered me exactly what I paid for it. And I'm like, sold. I'm done. Good. So that was great, and it's a great thing. Craigslist. I think Reverb. There's some pretty good things on there, but they go so fast if it's a great deal. But it's good if you're looking for something that's hard to find and you're willing to pay for it. You'll find it on Reverb. So somebody else also mentioned, paid a compliment to me about speaking without getting too overly confused in theory. And I will be doing some theory episodes, but it will be easy because I feel like a lot of people get lost in the communication of music, and there's a lot of over explaining. So, like when I talk about the 11 chord as the 5 chord in a situation. The 5 chord is usually a 7 chord. We can call it the dominant chord. And a 7 is also, you can call it a 9 or an 11, depending on how many extensions you add on it. But it's the tension chord that wants to resolve, and most songs will go to it before it goes back to the 1. That being said, you could number every chord in a scale if you took the do, re, mi, or C to C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and you've called C 1, D would be 2, E would be 3. And then if you put them in chord form, C would be major, D would be minor, E would be minor. So they're all, there's like a standard of it. And so you can pretty much speak to people in numbers. The 5 would be the dominant chord, which would be the dominant 7, and the key of C would be a G. So a lot of times in pop music, they'll substitute the 11 chord over the 7 chord. They'll add the 7, 9, 11, which would be basically an F chord over a G bass. because you have the root and then you have 7, 9, 11. They don't muddy it too much. Sometimes they'll put the 5 in there, which would be the D. So you would have G and then D, F, A, C, but not necessarily. And you're definitely not going to have the third. They don't really put the third in there. But that's just... So you could call it an F over G, or you can call it a G11. When I'm speaking musically, when we're discussing or if I'm producing a track and I'm telling somebody what I want them to play, I will tell them it's the 11 chord. But that's what I mean. And if they don't play what I want, then I would break it down and say, play the F over G. That's what I want. So really, it just depends on how you communicate. And I think like in a lot of music, so when I used to do sessions, and I will be getting back to sessions next year in the Los Angeles area, but when I used to do them, the good producers are great communicators, and they'll tell you exactly what they want from you. Some people want you to be you. They want you to just go in and play. That's why they hired you, and that's great. It's easy. And usually if they know you and they're hiring you for it, then they're thinking of your sensibility anyways, and so they want you kind of to do your thing because that's what they're hearing. So if you go in and they have a chart for you, or they want you to play something, they're going to basically tell you, there's many times where I went in, and like I said, they're never going to bring up modes. They're going to talk to you like, hey, listen, song's in the key of C, center on G. Well, that tells you they just want it all naturals, They're going to communicate to you the fastest way to get you to do what they need you to do, so you can get the hell out. They can get the thing mixed and they can get paid. That's the name of the game. So when you see like back in the 70s, all these guys that are playing sessions, Larry Carlton, Steve Lukather, Jeff Porcaro, Bernard Purdy, these are the guys being hired that they know can come in, nail it, but nail it fast and get the hell out of there, because they want to get the job done, but they want it done right and they want it done quickly because time is money. And that's really why I do a lot of the things that I do on these lessons, like teaching you about time. In my band situation, a lot of times we'll be bringing up certain parts, and not everyone's counting time the same way, and it can become tedious because not everyone was trained how to count time or how to think of time, and like I said, it's just one of those things that the most prepared you go in, it's the best that it's going to be. Anyways, that's all the questions that I wanted to answer for today. I want to do it quick. I have a gig tonight in Quincy, so I got to get ready for that. And I would like to just relax and do nothing. Wait a second, a lazy musician? Who the hell ever thought of that? No, seriously. I'd like to do nothing for the rest of the day, if you don't mind. Well, because then I got to move the gear. It's also funny, too, because, people will say to me, like if I do a gig and it's like $100 gig, I can't believe you guys are just doing that, for that, you're only each making $100. I'm like, they're paying me to move the gear. It's $150 to take it out of my house, $50 to pack it up. The playing I'm doing for free. That part I enjoy. It's the actual schlepping my gear that I could give a shit about. That's what you got to pay me to do. And so depending on how far I got to drive and what a pain in the ass it is to get in and out of the venue, if it's a difficult place to get in and out of the venue, the next time I play there, I can guarantee you they're paying me more because I can't take it. So that's something to consider when you're negotiating a gig for your band. Go check out the venue, see what it's like to get in and out, and depending on how insane it is to get in and out, that's how you know how much to charge them. The actual playing, we're playing because we love to play. Anyways, I'm somewhat joking, but I'm somewhat serious. And on that note, very good.
How's that for a topper?
You're right on target. You hit the nail right on the head with your comments, what you're saying today. You're right on the money, everything you said. You're 150% correct.